Hola, and welcome to the Renaissance Empress, a digital casita for multi-passionate peeps who want to feel uncontained as they navigate their self-mastery journey through an integrated lens of mysticism and entrepreneurship. My name is Vicky, and I am a strategist, storyteller, and Gen Xer from Alphabet City. Some days you'll find me writing or working with private clients, and other days I'm either taking a nap or plotting road trips. Lately, I've been intrigued with photography, and I am obsessed with Miami. So depending on when you're listening to this long-winded intro, I may or may not be a proper snowbird. Something to remember as you listen to this podcast: my Aquarius ascendant is very anti-conformity, but my Libra moon still wants to be liked. So I have a temperamental relationship with social media. I also advocate against a lot of the sales psychology tactics that are often weaponized in hustle culture. I support growth, but not conscious hypocrisy. I understand that we are all forced to participate in capitalism, but that is not a free pass to monetize without integrity. What can you expect from this podcast? As you can see, I take an unapologetic approach to soulful entrepreneurship. My lane is me, and my lived experiences offer an often snarky take on how to make magic in a constantly shifting world. It's why I say I'm a sometimes bruja but always quirky, because to shine and thrive requires a mutable attitude to accommodate the ways in which we change our perspectives with new information. I touch on mysticism, pop culture, social issues, and entrepreneurship, either one at a time or all together. It depends on my mood and how much coffee I've had to drink. Even on a good day, I can be a hot mess. So if you need some time this week to embrace your imperfect self, consider this podcast a sacred space where we can secretly be unhinged together. Don't forget to peep VickyAyala.com, where you can learn more about working with me, hop on the Inbox Conversations weekly newsletter, or shop my little quirky bodega for the books and decks I create to help you make magic. I look forward to seeing you on the other side of this podcast. Self-publishing is a touch point for me. I have 4 books on Amazon. I'm writing at least 1 more this year, maybe 2. It also took me 40 plus years to finally acknowledge that I am a writer, beyond the copywriting and ghostwriting that I do for others. If I take it way back, I got into college because of my essay about wanting to be a writer so much that my counselor referenced it when we first met during freshman orientation. Imagine his surprise when I said my official major was going to be bio pre-med. When I reflect back to as early as 5th grade, I remember teachers talking about my writing, not so much in a she's got a great command of grammar kind of way, more like she picks interesting topics and gets immersive in the expression of her stories. I'm paraphrasing. A few said they were looking forward to reading my articles in magazines one day. Another commented on my ability to be so emotive in poetry. It all went in one ear and out the other. I didn't believe I could be a successful writer. I thought I had to major in something serious, like biology pre-med. So when I champion self-publishing, it's not from the perspective of an opportunistic entrepreneur helping you to make a quick buck. It comes from the voice of 10-year-old me, asking you to never lose the desire to validate your own voice. I got caught up reading the latest drama with Kindle U and how AI is disrupting that business model. So what is Kindle U? Kindle U is short for Kindle Unlimited. It is a monthly subscription that gives readers access to all of the digital books on their platform. It's kind of like Netflix for authors. Authors get paid based on how many times their books are borrowed and read. Personally, I don't use Kindle. My books aren't the Kindle type of book. They're meant to be worked with by printing them out, either as paperback or as a PDF. To no one's surprise, there is an overwhelming amount of AI-generated books that are gaming the system. So you can imagine how all of these fake books are bombarding a platform where real authors need to get discovered by subscribers in order to monetize. Now, people actually reading AI books? It's hard to say. What AI books do is dilute a platform, making it harder to find real authors with their real books. These AI books also don't make the user experience untenable. Kindle U and AI is a completely different conversation and episode. For now, let's just stick to basics. Let's talk about traditional publishing first. Traditional publishing, from a very basic perspective, works like this. You write a book proposal. You shop that book proposal to an agent. The agent likes it, signs you, and shops your book to a publisher. The publisher says, great, let's do this. There's a contract that talks about price, deliverables, rights. You sign a deal with the publisher. You work with the publisher's editors to co-create the book. Your book gets published. You do the book promo circuit, interviews, podcasts, book signings, and then it's rinse and repeat if it's a success the first time. I'm leaving a lot out. Somewhere in there are headshots, book cover designs, scheduling your book publishing date, getting blurbs, royalties, and all that good stuff. Those details vary depending on what kind of publishing house you work with and what kind of a deal you are able to get. When you want to pursue traditional publishing, there are some questions you need to be honest with yourself about. 1. Is your book compelling enough to the right person? Meaning, is your book aligned with the views and needs of an agent, publisher, and everyone else who's going to be involved in bringing your book to life? 2. Is your audience large enough to justify printing the book for the publisher? 3. How amenable are you to changing the book to meet both the ideological perspective of the publisher as well as the bottom line of the publisher? 4. That awesome book you wrote 6 months ago, will it still be relevant when it's actually published? 1, 2, maybe 3 years down the line. 5. Do you already have connections to get booked on news outlets, podcasts, and talk shows? 6. What are the expenses that you will need to be responsible for after you've received your advance check from the publisher? 7. Who is paying for the book cover design, the headshots, and all the marketing assets? 8. What happens if you don't like what they come up with? You do know that the amount your book sells for is delivered over several payments, contingent on deliverables, right? If your awesome book deal is worth $100,000, it's likely broken up into 3 or 4 payments. Let's just assume it's 4 equal payments of $25,000. Number 9, is that enough to sustain you after taxes, agent commissions, and any of the additional expenses you will now have to pay for? 10. Look at the times we live in. What happens to your book if your editor is fired or quits? 11. What happens to your book if the publisher decides to merge or sell? 12. What happens if you have to revise your book so much that you don't even recognize it anymore? 13. What happens if they decide to not publish your book? I'm not anti-traditional publishing. I'd be lying if I said I wouldn't seriously consider any opportunities that present themselves. In many ways, it is so much easier to not have to manage all of those details on your own. Traditional publishing is a totally viable option if that's what you want. The reality is that most of you listening to this who want to publish a book are very likely never going to get a traditional book deal. Not one that is worth the effort you will need to put in. And I cannot stress this enough. If you do not get the traditional book deal you've imagined you get Don't ever let that be a reflection on your ability to write or tell a story. There are a lot of reasons why traditional publishing might pass you by. There will be a laundry list of reasons that come up before the quality of your work is ever factored in. Publishing is still a business, and one with a dying business model. So when they say it's me, not you, they mean it. On the opposite side, we have self-publishing, where for the most part, you have complete control. You control the voice. You control the story that gets told. You control the marketing. You control the vision. You can hire editors, designers, PR teams, social media manager, all of the people who help support the development and marketing of your book. But everything starts and ends with you. There are several print-on-demand platforms to help you print and distribute your book. The top 3 that I can think of right now are Lulu, Blurb, and Amazon KDP. Printed books will always have a place because people like having something that they can touch with their hands. They like putting books on shelves. They like taking books to read at the park or the beach. There's still tremendous value in books no matter the genre. I just bought a planner and it's cute. I have a ton of blank journals sitting on my desk and they're also cute. After discovering that there's a new Barnes & Noble's opening up near her, my sister went back to buying horror novels. People still read, despite what marketing experts may have you believe. So why self-publishing? Honestly, whether it's traditional publishing or self-publishing, there's so much work to be done either way to make sure you've got a solid book done. You still have to write the book. You still have to work with an editor to finesse it. You still have to build a platform of potential readers. So there's a lot of things that the publisher will technically do for you, even though you're probably paying for it anyways. We didn't talk about royalties, remember? That initial check you got is technically in advance. And maybe this is my designer voice speaking, but you're probably not even thinking about the cover for your book and who's going to design it. And if we weren't thinking about book design, then you're definitely not thinking about copyrights. Sure, if you sign with a big publisher, they'll have a team in-house to do all of those things for you. And maybe if it's in your contract, they'll loop you in for feedback on the design. Maybe. A smaller publishing house might outsource the design to a freelancer. Ever notice the same book with different covers? With self-publishing, you take this on. And maybe you don't want to have to deal with the details of designing a cover. You probably just want to write the book. Writers who get treated like their royalty usually have leverage to command certain assurances like book cover design input. It's kind of like the music industry. They will roll out the red carpet for you and give you A-list treatment when they know you can pull in A-list numbers. And the question you need to ask is, can you? With traditional publishing, sales are a bit more complex. With self-publishing, sales are very simple math. You don't need 1 million followers to make $1 million. You need an engaged audience who's captivated enough to buy from you. That's it. In terms of business models, books are evergreen and can be purchased anytime from anywhere, depending on how you structure the distribution. Once it's on Amazon, anyone in the world can become a reader. You just have to decide which trade-offs are worth it to you. So now my question to you is twofold. Do you want to publish because you genuinely want your book out there? Or are you infatuated with the clout of having a traditional publisher say, here's so-and-so's book? Do you want to be an author? Or do you want someone to give you permission to become an author? Maybe if self-publishing was something I saw when I was in college, I wouldn't have switched over to bio-pre-med. That major barely lasted 2 years before I eventually switched over to sociology, where I stayed. I wasn't a doctor. I was a writer. I just didn't think I could be the writer I wanted to be. Traditional publishing offers something that self-publishing doesn't. Industry validation. It's why people get standoffish and judgmental when you say that you are a self-published author. They assume your book is not good enough because someone sitting on 6th Avenue didn't pick you. You have to ask yourself what kind of author you want to be. One who waits to be told their words are worthy of print, or someone who validates themselves by printing them anyways. There's a duality when it comes to publishing your books, because while it's just another book, it's also your book. It can be grand and simple at the same time. It can make an impact on the people who resonate with it, while also doing absolutely nothing to solve our global problems. Look, we're talking novels, workbooks, planners, poems, short stories. None of these books are about how to do open heart surgery or cure cancer. Your self-published book doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be printed. You can write more later. There's nothing to say that you have to only write one book. And I'm a big advocate for the concept of starter books. You publish a book that is low on your radar so that you can demystify the process. That way, when you are ready to publish the book you really want to write, you know what to expect and how to do it the second time with ease. You can also edit the first one if it needs to change and resonate with changing times. You can do that with self-publishing. You can't do that with traditional publishers. You have to really want to be an author to go down this rabbit hole. Because aside from it being mentally, emotionally, and financially taxing, is this really the best use of your time, energy, and expertise? Is writing your ministry? If the answer is yes, then I'd love to help you on your journey. While publishing is still a business, how you monetize that book is different. With traditional publishing, there's a threshold you'd have to hit before seeing royalties. You'd have to at least recoup the advance before seeing royalties, which can range in percentage depending on whether it's soft cover print, hardcover, ebook format. With self-publishing, specifically on Amazon KDP, let's say your book is 150 pages and you sell it for $15, your royalty is going to be about $6. If you sell it for $19, your royalty is going to be about $8 per book sale. This is your royalties whether you sell one book or 1 million books. I hope this offers you some clarity and helps you to either dive right into self-publishing or at very least appreciate it from a distance. If you'd like to continue this dialogue, connect with me at vickyayala.com. If you know someone who could benefit from this conversation or rant, don't be shy. Share it with them and let's create space for everyone to feel included in this publishing journey. Until next time.